Jeez.
What that was.
Hitting their turbo. What's the turbo? We're good, Mr. President.
Right, we'll now commence the board of directors meeting for the River Area Recreation and Park District at 6:30. Mrs. Byrne, can you please lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Right hand over your heart, ready, begin.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we please take roll call?
Division 1, Kim Gerald Johnson. Here. Division 2, Jose Luis Medina.
Present.
Division 3, Rebecca Redorte Byrne.
Present.
Division 4, Edgar Castro.
Present.
Division 5, Ross Leisha.
Sure.
Do we have any presentations or recognitions?
None this evening.
Public comments?
I've not received it.
Consent calendar, does anyone want to remove anything from the consent calendar?
I would like to make a correction in the minutes if I can. 6.1, general manager report, and on 6.2, under Mr. Godinez's comments, it says Big Bound America instead of Big Bounce. America.
Typo, thank you. That will be.
And with that, I'm fine.
Okay, all right, making those corrections of on intent motion.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
One, 5-0. On to 5.1, conduct public hearings and election related to Community Facilities District 2016-1, annexation number 38.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is annexation, as you said, number 38 to CFD 2016-1. This is the property located at Van Buren and Rutile, the future Van Buren Marketplace, as it's effectively referred to. We've already had the resolution of intention. This public hearing was held at our last board meeting and continued tonight. And due to some issues within the developer, he has requested that we continue the public hearing again this evening. So it'd be appropriate to open the public hearing at this time. Take any comments from the public there may be, then we can continue it to the next meeting of December the 12th.
Okay, all right, so I am, I still go over the first paragraph, right?
Yes.
The opening.
Right, so these are the public hearings in the sports proceedings for annexation number 38 to Community Facilities District number 2016-1s. The hearings are to require into the annexation of territory into the district and the levy of special taxes in the territory to be added to fund the cost of certain public services in the district. The public hearings are now officially open. Protests may be oral or written. Any property owner and registered voter within the proposed territory to be annexed into the district may file a written protest. Does anyone wish to file a written protest? If so, they must be filed with the board clerk at this time,
No, I've not received it.
and we will just leave it open.
I do need a motion in a second to do that. I move to continue this item until the meeting of December 12th.
Second.
And it does not need to be a roll call.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0. To 5.2, request for use of the Rick Thompson Arena for the 2025 River Valley Pro Rodeo.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Again, this is a request from the River Valley Pro Rodeo for the use of the Rick Thompson facility for their 2025 event. What we have before us is a draft of the agreement with the rodeo. Other than some date changes, this would be the same thing the board approved last year. Unfortunately, from some technical issues within the rodeo, they weren't able to hold last year's rodeo. But they're well ahead of the game this year in their planning efforts. And there is a member of the rodeo committee here this evening that wants to speak and is available should you have any questions. But from my understanding, they have increased their committee participants already, and they're on the way to a successful event for this year. So myself, I'd be available. And Heidi, do you want to say anything?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heidi Bird. I'm the chair of the River Valley Pro Rodeo. Unfortunately, this year was a little bit more difficult to make ends meet, so we decided to withdraw and regroup so we can bring back 2025 even better. We are planning for 2 days this year instead of 3 that we had originally planned. But we are getting more committee members. We have a lot more traction and interest in wanting to help versus just wanting to attend. So we're hoping to make this year a little bit bigger without getting too ahead of ourselves. We're planning some layout changes. Hopefully that'll work logistically with traffic, with safety, with keeping, our general admission away from our contestants and staff. So we're trying to get ahead of it this year with permits, applications, sponsors, all of that. So that way we can put on another successful rodeo and continue that every year.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Do any of the board members have questions?
Yes, we do. I recall that you gave us a few concerns last year and we worked on them, I hope. So my question to you is, did we meet those things that you brought forth? One of them was the lighting. I don't recall that I've heard or might have missed.
That is a budgeted item in this year's operating budget, and actually myself and Nate's department had a discussion yesterday. We're working on those bids right now. It'll be done in time for the event this summer.
Well, good, then we've met what you brought as a concern for the organization, so thank you.
And there was a couple other items that they had brought forward, that we've already worked on. Some of it's just, that facility not being used on the regular basis. The actual. What am I calling it? The building, at the arena there, the announcer's booth, thank you. We've fixed a couple things within that as well, so.
Well, I recall it, the lighting kind of superseded everything else. That's why I was asking. So I'm glad we addressed it or bring the, you say it will be on time for the rodeo itself, so that's fine.
Questions?
No, I move the board of directors approve the facility use agreement with the Hooper Valley Community Pro Rodeo for the 2025 rodeo and related activities.
Second?
Favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. On to 5.3, request for fee waiver for use of Skyview Event Center for 2025 Hooper Valley Food Fest. Mr. DeBoer.
Yes, again, we also have representatives from the Food Fest here tonight that I'm sure are gonna want to speak. But this is the annual event that takes place at Skyview Event Center. Next year's date is October 5th, 4th, thank you. And again, it was another successful event this year. This is something, the board has indicated they would like to support moving forward, but they didn't want it rubber stamped and want it brought back on an annual basis for review. So that's what we're here for tonight. We do appreciate the Food Fest getting the application in as soon as possible because they know how busy Skyview is. They want to make sure they get their date reserved, and it makes it a lot easier for us on our end as well, so. Be available for any questions, and if you want to make a presentation.
I'm Diana Leach, president of the Rotary Club and committee member of the Food Fest. And so on behalf of the Food Fest, we do want to thank you for your continued support of that event. As you know, all of the money goes back into the community in one form or another, primarily scholarships, but we do have other, the Rotary has other organizations that we support within the community. So your ability to waive the fees directly impacts how much we can help in the community. So we do appreciate that. This 2025 Food Fest will be our 25th annual event. So we have a lot of things already that we're planning to make it a bigger and even better event. This year's was very successful. Especially based on the fact that we had some obstacles, primarily the weather, a really hot day. And I think that impacted the number of people that attended, but our ability to get sponsors, people that bought tickets, they maybe didn't attend, sales of our baskets and auction items help. And so it was a little bit more than last year's.
About the same.
About the same?
Yeah, when we net it out, yeah.
Yeah, so we were really happy. And you know, every year we learn and we just have some really exciting things we plan to do for next year. And as always, as a small token of gratitude, we like to give back to the park. And I'll just present to Loretta. We have a check for $500 that we hope that you can turn around and provide scholarships for your activities. So the only thing we're still waiting for, Colby, is the security guard.
And we'll follow up to make sure.
Yeah.
Our bill probably just came in. so-
Okay, yeah, I knew it. Yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, I don't think I saw any of you guys there except for Colby. So next year, hopefully, we'll make sure that you
I
get
was
to.
there.
accept-
I think it was there.
Yeah.
I was there with my.
2 days in a row.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No recognition, no love at all, right?
That was voluntold.
So if you guys need a ticket, just hit me up. I know.
Thank you so
So,
much.
okay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And in the past, when we have received this donation, the board has directed us to use it for scholarships towards our recreation programs. We'll have it as a receive and file at the next meeting, and we'll proceed with it that way unless we have any other direction from the board.
Any comments from the board, questions?
I move the board of directors approve the request for waiver of fees for the use of the Skyview Event Center for the 2025 Harupa Valley Food Fest.
I said,
All in favor? All opposed? Item passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you.
All right. On to 5.4, updated job descriptions for the recreation coordinator and recreation supervisor. Sir Digwood.
Yes, this is just some minor housekeeping. When we were going through after we updated these a few months back, we noticed there was some overlap between the two job descriptions. And so we've just cleared up responsibilities, making it clear that the recreation coordinator reports to the recreation supervisor. And making it, the coordinator is receiving guidance from the supervisor. So it's more of a housekeeping thing, salaries, none of that is being adjusted. It's just, clearly defining those two positions.
Any questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Under essential office duties on both of them,
Okay.
on the coordinator, it says that the third bullet down says written correspondence, filing, making copies. And the supervisor, the very first bullet, written and email correspondence. I thought, should the coordinators have something more like written correspondence as directed or something like that?
Coordinators still carry some weight and are able to.
I understand what Johnson is saying there. Let me look back and I just want to make sure I'm not confusing the two of them here.
I just didn't know at what level we allow someone to make a decision that they're going to perform written correspondence. And I was assuming the coordinator, since they could only do it, since they're doing it at an assistant level, that they should only do correspondence if directed, not choose to do correspondence on their own. That was all. But maybe.
We do give them.
I don't have a problem with, I think the way it's written right here. I understand what Ms. Johnson is saying. And Ms. Whitney's in the office, in the audience, she can weigh in as well, but we do rely on our coordinators to respond, even if it's just a question about when is basketball skill assessment on Saturday. I don't want to micromanage our staff that it impacts our efficiencies.
Okay.
So I don't think that is a concern.
I would weigh into that, and that was what I was about to share. Colby, so I agree with what you say. Having written job description myself.
And we do have internal practices of, formal letters going out and stuff that are reviewed by supervisors. So.
Okay, just curious.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, motion,
I move the board of directors approve the updated job descriptions for the recreation coordinator and recreation supervisor.
I'll second. All in favor? Opposed? Item passes 5-0. On to 5.5 capital workshop capital improvement plan, Mr. DeWitt.
Yes, thank you. So I just want to start tonight, kind of start the conversation with the board here. We've made it a goal of establishing a capital improvement plan. And one of our criteria is kind of we were waiting to have the master plan completed to help provide us with some guidance as well. But still, this document allows for a lot of flexibility and not have anything kind of currently in place. This is where I want some input from the board to make sure what we're bringing back to you meets your expectations. This is a perfect example of just because one agency does it one way, doesn't mean we have to do it that way. This really is kind of a roadmap, but it can change at any point based on funding opportunities. So if a grant suddenly becomes available for a project that's further down the road, it's obviously gonna get bumped back up to the top there. But it's really just to keep an eye on the target, really what it comes down to, that we're constantly moving forward, trying to move forward and not letting things slip through the cracks. We're in a unique situation right now with the district, something we really haven't experienced in the past. We're growing immensely, which you guys are all aware of. We've been able to fund some projects that we haven't in the past. The perfect example is the replacement of the arenas here at Rick Thompson, Larimore, and Felspar. Those were things that were really kind of deferred maintenance costs, because they were costly, expense that we didn't necessarily have at the time. One of the main reasons for this, we're able to fund the arenas is because of our blanket, Loretta, the pass-through money from the counter. I want to say
On the redevelopment money.
redevelopment, I can't want to say CDBG, thank you, redevelopment money. As we've talked about that in the past, the redevelopment agencies was taken away back in 2012 or so, right before Governor Brown left office. Those were essentially bond funded. And as those are starting to kind of come off the books now, they were paid for by future tax dollar increases that we never saw. So instead of the money coming to us, they went to pay off these redevelopment agency things. So as they're coming off the books and being paid off or being refinanced at lower rates that were available the last couple of years, we've seen our redevelopment agency pass-through money come from a couple $100,000 to over $1 million. And that's going to stay the same going forward. I don't expect to see these dramatic increases like we have the past couple of years going forward. But they're going to they'll slowly grow because based on property taxes and assessed values. So this is a great time for us to be starting this and having these conversations. So kind of just a capital improvement plan, CIP is a form typically referred to. It's a multi-year plan that identifies and prioritizes capital projects and equipment purchases for a municipality. Kind of a very generic standard definition. Something I want to talk to you guys about, just kind of get a feedback from you guys is 10 years versus 5 years. Can any of you predict where we're going to be 10 years from now? Probably not. Do we have a pretty good idea where we're probably going to be in 5 years?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. So what a lot of agencies are doing, they're doing a 10-year capital improvement plan, but they're really only funding 5 years of it. They're trying to project the funding 5 years out. That would kind of be my recommendation of the path we need to go on. Trying to project 10 years out is going to be really hard for us. Majority of these improvements are going to be funded via development impact fees, which is going to be coming from new development within the city here. Typically, government agencies are 18 months or so behind the economy. So there may be a slowdown in 18 months, I don't know. What I'm seeing development wise coming across from the city doesn't give any indications to that. But just, I don't want to get us too far ahead put the cart too far ahead of the horse. So I think trying to project and look 5 years out is relatively, something that we can accomplish. And this would be something that we review annually, you know, assume it'd be along with the budget. Maybe not the exact same night of the budget, but within the same time frame. So every 5 years is constantly being pushed out one more year, the next, going forward. The master plan gave us some priorities. It identified areas that we were park poor in. It also identified areas of priority from the community. We're all aware, one of the biggest things the residents indicated in the master plan surveys was they were looking for safe places to recreate. Whether that be, one of the highest priorities was walking trails. But they wanted to feel safe coming and going to the park and in the park. I think over the past 5 or 6 years, we've done a really good job of increasing our security by adding cameras, taking away blind spots within parks. But there's still things that we can look at to improve lighting within our facilities, especially some of the older facilities that don't have ample lighting. Those are things that we can look at to increase that security opportunity. We don't control their access to and from parks, how they're getting there. But again, that's a perception, so I think it's something we need to keep in mind when designing and looking at these improvements, how we can work with our partner agencies, the city, county, other districts within the area. The other priorities was what was referred to in the master plan as square athletic fields, referring to soccer and football fields. That's a big priority that we need to look at. Within the master plan, we also talked about some recreation facilities. I identified the completion of phase 2 of Skyview Event Center, the rehabilitation of Avalon Park and Memorial Park. And both of those, I think, will address some big gaps with our athletic facilities from the master plan. So we want to take those into consideration. But also we want to take, I've been talking with staff, getting staff input where they feel we need improvements, and that'll be something that gets worked into this master plan. We want board input, where it is you see the biggest needs within our community or within your division. And then obviously through part of this, the public will have input as well. That's kind of where I'm at. It's not a very detailed presentation. I did want to share with you just some lists I'm starting myself here. I apologize. I thought it was still open here. I just kind of started some spreadsheets for not every facility, but a majority of the facilities here. This thing right here is killing me. Why is it not going away? I can't get to my buttons. So it's just a spreadsheet I'm working on for different facilities. And more so, this will be stuff that we start adding to lists. And once we get, some lists established, we can start prioritizing them. This is just I set tabs for the different parks here. So we'll start with just Glen Avon Heritage. Parking lot. It's not a parking lot, it's a dirt lot. It's paving that parking lot. The old mobile site, these are just kind of my notes here too. Glen Avon Heritage, when you drive in the driveway there to the right-hand side, there's a dirt lot, used to be a mobile home that the district purchased. And it's probably an expansion of the parking lot is the best use of it, but it needs to be cleaned up. It's an eyesore. These are things that we need to start talking about how we want to establish what we want to do there. We're doing the turf reduction program right now. The slopes within the park between kind of the park and the community garden need to be addressed. Bowles Field here, the parking lot, it's gonna be a common thing you're gonna see coming up. One of the things the league has requested is replacement of the scoreboards at the facility. Larimore Park, fence replacement. which is different, the arenas. So the fencing right now has a lot of the old cement fencing that we're using, the 2-rail fence. As it's aged and been broken over the years, it's very expensive to get those pieces replaced. So I think it's a good discussion to have of replacing that with a vinyl fence instead. And then security lighting is an issue at that facility, adding security lighting into some of the dark corners. We were contacted yesterday morning by the sheriff's department. Somebody broke in and stole the copper from the cell phone tower there. You know, not necessarily our issue per se because we're lease agreement, but again, that was kind of an easy target because it's dark within the backside of that park. What are things that we can do to increase our security with our facilities? I don't need to go through all these per se, but you know, RT, we got the lighting there. We've talked about replacing the sign up here on Rupert Road for the Rick Thompson Arena. The arena fencing we're working on. There's been requests for bleachers, and don't think grandiose bleachers like the rodeo would necessarily have. More so along the lines what we have at a baseball or softball field. The smaller ones that will hold 25, 30 people. We had some ones that were at Rick Thompson before, but we had to get rid of them because they did not meet current safety regulations. So smaller stuff along those lines. And then shade has been a request, not necessarily shade over the arena, although that has been a request. It's a huge request, but more for just shade around the facility for participants, equestrians, horses along those lines. Granola, I just haven't updated some of these ones yet. Wineville turf reduction would be a huge thing at Wineville Park. You know, it's 5 acres of grass. From the master plan, one of the things that we've said is we want to see multiple amenities, things to bring people to the park. Wineville really has playground and grass. There's really nothing else there. To me, Wineville Park is a perfect opportunity for some turf reduction, as well as installing a walking path around that entire park. That'd be a great loop there, tying to the trail system within Sky Country and bring in some solar powered lighting for security. We're going to meet a lot of opportunities there. Provide a safe walking and lit area. We're adding another amenity and we're reducing our operating costs with the turf reduction, program there. So these are some of the things I'm getting at here with smaller capital programs. The larger ones, as we're already talking about, is programming or master planning Avalon Park, Veterans Memorial Park, the 2 ones that we know we need to look at. We're looking at land acquisitions right now. I think it's important for us to go through and complete some of these acquisitions if possible and come up with a master plan for those facilities. As we're all aware, the elections were 2 weeks ago. While we're still waiting on a lot of results to be finalized, we do know Proposition 5 passed, which was a safe drinking water, fire reduction. I forget the whole term for it. Within that, there's $700 million available for grants that would be competitive to public agencies. They're going to be highly sought after. But if we can have plans or at least conceptual drawings in place, and where some of these facilities are at, Avalon Park, Veterans Memorial Park, areas where we're looking at park land because we're park poor. The assumption is they're going to use similar criteria that was used for Prop 68. So their priorities are park poor areas or income qualified areas. I think we can be very competitive in these grant applications, but we need to have at a minimum conceptual drawings. And they're going to want to see that public input was put into these applications as well. Luckily, our master plan's new enough. I think a lot of that will roll into it and help qualify it towards the 5 meeting minimum that they had last time. But we're going to need to have meetings, say, on Avalon and Memorial. What type of facilities do we want? We know with Avalon Park, right now, Avalon Park is severely underutilized. It's kind of out in no man's land. That's about to change fairly quickly here. You're all aware of all the development going on in Emerald Ridge North, Emerald Ridge South. Rio Vista was approved through the city, which that'll connect 20th Street back around to 20th Street off Rubidoux Boulevard, to where that new community is literally 3 minutes away from Avalon Park now. You know, that's an existing 450 homes at Shadow Rock, another 1,600 homes that are coming into Rio Vista, and another almost 500 between Emerald Ridge, north and south. Avalon Park is now relevant again. I see potential formations of new youth leagues with that many houses coming in. We know Avalon Park is going to lend itself because of just its size, its shape, to more square or rectangular athletic fields than Memorial Park lends itself to. So we need to, you know, get designs in place for those two facilities so we can be competitive and be able to go after these grants. Looking at the land opportunities we have in our park poor areas as these, you know, defined within the master plan there, being able to program these facilities with multiple amenities like we're looking at is something that's going to score very high in grant applications as well. So we want to keep those things in mind. And then going back to our deferred maintenance of stuff that we've done here in the district. Every single park with a parking lot needs attention. You know, we're at the point now that we can save some of our parking lots by slurry sealing them and getting another 5, maybe 10 years out of them. We have parking lots like at the community center, right? It's being renovated because it's part of the renovation of the facility. Our original hope was that was going to be a grind, cap and reseal. We can't do that. It is so gone and it was poorly constructed. I'm going to be bringing back to you guys probably next month a change order for that because it's going to require digging it out, laying new foundation and overlaying it. You know, we need to do it right. You know, even small parking lots like Rancho Miraloma, you know, we can still save with probably a grinding, recapping and resealing. You know, they're not massive amounts of money, but if we need to bundle them with multiple parking lots because they're not huge in size to where we can get some economies of scale and make them affordable to us. Knowles Park is a good sized parking lot. It's got 3 technically. They were redone about 12, 14 years ago. But if we can go through and seal them, things that we haven't done in the past, because we haven't had the funds to do it, those things, that's going to pay out immensely down the road. We have a number of those projects. Again, and these turf reduction projects that we're doing, the one that we're working on currently at Vernola Family Park, that's kind of our test case here. But I've got staff identifying other facilities where we can do the same program to where we can get a majority of it paid for with grant funds and we're only having to supplement small portions of it. Not only does that beautify the park, kind of help modernize it, but it's going to save us water down the road. You know, you're aware of 2 biggest expenses is labor and water here at the district. So anything we can do to be more water wise, it's only going to help us moving forward. I know I've rambled a lot here. I want some input from you guys, but an example here I've kind of thrown the spreadsheet too is the replacement time. Are we looking at this? Again, we didn't even touch on ADA. ADA is another huge liability we have that needs to be addressed because not only is it bringing us in compliance with the law, it reduces our liability for future litigation. We've talked about this a lot, but if we have an established transition plan now within the master plan, and if we show every year that we're working towards achieving these goals, if something were to happen and litigation were to be filed for us for non-compliance with ADA, the courts are showing that as long as we're making steady progress, that they're supporting us and you know, passing off this litigation. So if it's ADA, if it's a deferred maintenance issue, if we're at the end of the life, you know, just a playground is at its 20-year mark. This is why we're replacing it, or if we're having to do it because of vandalism. And then the funding source, whether it be development impact fees, general fund, CFD reserves, or grant funded. So you can see a lot of stuff there. talking about CFD parks yet, because really, none of them are quite at that age. Our oldest parks are just now coming at 20, not quite 20 years yet. They're all CFD funded, but we're gonna start looking at playgrounds here in the next couple of years for those. We've done a pretty good job with our, rubber surface replacement programs and stuff. But those are things that are coming forward. And we have, the way the CFDs are designed and set up, we have, for the most part, operating reserves and the capital reserves. Those capital reserves are what's could be funding their CIP improvement plan. So like I said, I kind of rambled there a lot. This is a lot of discussion that we're gonna have. It's not gonna be finalized tonight. My assumption is you're gonna want the budget personnel committee kind of helping, looking at some of this stuff too, or park planning. But I know we're gonna get a long list from staff and the board and public input and stuff, and then we're gonna have to start prioritizing those things. So questions, comments? I know there's a lot of things floating around here. I see Director Johnson's, the wheels are spinning, so.
Well, I want to say that wasn't rambling. I commend you. You're impulsive, a lot of things, and sorry to say I'm not going to be able to see it all, but I know it's going to be accomplished. Every detail, as I thought I was going to ask, you answered. So I just think it's a great plan, great strategy that you have in mind. I'm really happy to hear it all, and we'll be back to see it. So thank you.
Johnson?
You believed him? Yeah, it's true, it's true. How is it that you want us to get our ideas to you?
Just a simple email to start. We can review them. I have a feeling a lot of you are gonna have some of the same comments as well. So, there's no reason to kind of throw them out in a public meeting. Let's start tallying them and stuff as well. I think a lot of it, some of the staff recommendations are gonna be similar. I also think you guys are gonna have different ideas than staff and the public too. So, I think we need to get a list going and almost just start tallying them.
Okay.
I think it's gonna help us a lot.
The other thing is you said you assumed we would want it to go to budget and personnel and or park planning, and to be honest, I don't see that happening.
It could just be at the board level as well. That's fine.
I think it needs to be at the board level. Because what two people on one of those committees thinks is a priority and what the other three people think may not be the same thing, and then we just end up spinning our wheels and wasting our time. So I just think it needs to stay at the board level if the rest of you are in agreement with that.
So would you like to just see us pretty much concentrate on our own divisions at first? I mean, that's what we all know best is our own areas. So
I think a little bit of both, right? Like
Yeah.
Our division and as a whole, what else?
my wheels are already spinning about
Yeah.
things with the facilities in my division. So
Do you have that, every facility and within those tally sheets?
I just gotta add them to OBS.
Okay.
I can share that document with you guys if you
Yeah.
want.
yes,
Okay. Yeah, so going back to Mr. Lacia's question here and comment, and this is kind of just my commentary. I love that the district is broken down by divisions. I think it's great for us. At the same point, it can be a huge downfall as well.
see that.
I know that you recognize that. I just want to just remind it, first and foremost, I think as a board, you guys need to be looking at the district as a whole. And you have an obligation to your constituents as well. So that becomes something, it's somewhat of a balancing act. So I think really you need to look at what's in your division and your division well, but then also what it is from our master plan and from your discussions with your constituents, what it is they're looking for.
But my comment was more of a basis to start from.
Yeah.
And then once we have our second,
Yeah.
get together for another workshop, we can kind of compare notes and go from there. So my thought was not to just limit it to divisions.
No,
But I think that's a good place for each of us to start, is to check out our own facilities, see what we do, and then find out what's in common and what we can agree on we need for the district wide and kind of go from there. I mean, that was my thought on it.
I also, I think that the projects have to be, divvied up into, like, say, 3 categories of small, medium, and large from a financial standpoint. And of course, we have to decide what is small, what is medium, and what is large. Because, we could whip out 20 small things, but maybe only 2 large things, and we need to, balance it out as to how we want the money to be spent.
And this will be part of when we have our mid-year adjustment that we'll be talking about. As I alluded to, there's $1 million extra in revenue that we really haven't accounted for in our budget right now. Some of it we've already allocated out, with the arenas and stuff like that. So we're gonna be doing adjustments to cover those costs. But some of the discussions we have to have is we don't just go out and blow this extra money. As we're growing, we need to be smart about it. We're in a financial situation that we actually have reserves at this point, something we didn't necessarily have in the past. How do we allocate these monies towards programming, towards improvements, towards ADA accessibility stuff? And then what do we set aside for the rainy day, to make sure our reserves continue to grow and keep pace? And I don't know if that's a percentage, I don't know if that's a dollar amount, it may change annually, but these are discussions that we need to have as part of this. So. Yeah, it's a lot to think about, it's a lot to comprehend. It's a good problem to have, frankly. I don't know if this board's ever had a discussion of, we've got extra money, what do we want to do with it?
I can say we have not.
No.
It's not,
In
that is not
4
a
years, we have
conversation.
not.
No.
Not in my time.
My 10 years.
And don't get me wrong, $1 million is a lot of money. I could spend it in 5 minutes.
Yes.
We have a lot of projects that.
How long will it?
I gotta cut POs, come on. So. Any other comments or?
For me, it would be helpful to know, maybe the date of the facility. Just to see what.
The age, yeah, we have all that information, yeah. So, again, how much detail do you want? And then the next thing is starting to add dollar values to some of these things. And then some of it's, so take a Avalon Park. I'm guessing it's $8 million for the update to that facility.
That's what
30.
parks that need the most attention.
100.
From the driveway.
No, we all agree with that 100%. And we have funding coming from the development that'll cover a good chunk of it. But if we can get a grant to cover part of it, we can use that funding somewhere else.
Ideal.
That's ideal. So spending money now for the master plan conceptual designs and stuff may come back on us tenfold, down the road. So, the entire project of Avalon, like I said, maybe 8, maybe even 10 million. But allocating it, we'll start breaking down these sheets for each project, estimating, design, consultant fees, construction bid processes, and breaking these things out. So we have a total project going forward. And we may start just funding part of it. Hey, we're putting $50,000 towards this every year and start setting aside. So for 5 years down the road, we now have $250,000 set aside for whatever project it may be that we know it's going to cost us that much for design, construction drawing, CEQA, and pre-bid just to get us to that point. So it's not a big hit all the time.
I would also like to know the list of playgrounds that are coming due, say, in the next 5 years.
We have a list of the age of all of our playgrounds.
So I kind of like that to be included in what we're looking at.
Well, yes, because we would need it.
That's the priority list that I think you talk about. Nicole.
And I know some of the parks have reserves for that and some don't. So
Correct.
I'd kind of like to know that.
And that's part of like the CFDs that have that's
Right.
part of when we do the rates and methods of apportionment, when we need to set up these CFDs, that takes in essentially what it will take to completely rebuild that park. Whether it be that we know the life expectancy of a playground is about 15 years, an irrigation system is about 25 to 30, concrete's 40, a backstop is, X. We have all that's built into the spreadsheet, so we know. And then the huge math formula that with inflation, I'm sorry.
I was sorry, thought popped in my head. Going forward, we have from the master plan that we just did, a pretty good idea of which parks require ADA upgrades and
Correct.
how severe for each facility.
Correct.
We're already aware of
And
it.
that'll be part of, we get down to prioritizing stuff. There's gonna be red asterisks next to those ones that are high priority. We don't have to hit them all day one, but we can really look at the low lying fruit too.
Because that's a need, not a want list.
So
So,
that's a requirement.
yes, that's something we have to do. So
Do you have an idea of a timeline of when you want like a robust first draft and when you want?
I would say our best is to continue working forward on this. And we are looking at adopting our 5-year capital improvement plan along with our budget. It's gonna take us 6 months to get to that point. I really think probably once a month, you're gonna see this on an agenda in some form that we're talking about this. And then once we establish that, we'll probably be reviewing it twice a year and updating it, so we're constantly moving forward.
Very good.
So you can, at this point, we'll probably see something back in January, just because of the holidays. We're working forward on that.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you. On to 6.1, general manager's report. Typically.
Sorry.
so you haven't talked enough yet?
There's a couple things, reminders. We have Breakfast with Santa coming up here in a couple weeks. There's still spots left. Snow Day is January 11th, 4th, January 4th, I'm sorry. I gave you the wrong date and you're, fix that. Youth basketball registration is currently open. Skills assessment is the 5th of December. Other than that, we've been super busy, just end of the year stuff here at the office. Our after-school program continues to grow out at Vanderbilt Elementary School. We're right around the 140 mark on a daily basis. So that's a huge program for us. At this point, it's completely grant funded through the school district. So it's essentially guaranteed revenue for us coming in. So with that grant funding, we were able to expand the program. We were in the 40 range last year, we're 140 range. So it's phenomenal. You're gonna see some budget adjustments coming because of that, just to, they're gonna be increased staffing and revenues that are offsetting each other within that program. But we're really excited about that. Our staff's doing a phenomenal job handling that. Rupa Community Center, we're able to tour today with staff. I think they were quite impressed in the progress we've made. Essentially, all the new walls are up. Just some minor tie-ins that they're finalizing. The electricians and plumbers are starting all their stub outs right now. They anticipate being able to start drywalling right after the Thanksgiving holiday. At that same point when they're gonna start construction on the exterior of the building. Unfortunately, after our tour, was requested to get up on the roof, and we have found some more dry rot. Not a lot, but it's gonna be a little bit more that we have to fix. We just need to take care of it and do it right. But all in all, that project's still moving along. It's looking really good. So we're really excited. And we still really think that project's gonna be done early March of next year. And staff's already starting to program it with classes, as well as people are calling on a regular basis looking for reservations. But we're not even taking any rentals until we can start showing it to people. So, but we're excited for that project. Also, the Veterans Memorial Wall. Excuse me, the contractor is moving, sorry, not contractor, the architect's moving right along. Maintenance department's been meeting with their staff, going over irrigation and electrical for tie-ins and stuff like that. And they re-emailed me today about our preferences on flagpole. So we're getting really close to the completion of the construction drawings. And I anticipate those coming to you guys at our next meeting in December for approval. So we can get out to bid to have that completed by the May of 2025 that we're shooting for. So we're really excited about that. Other than that, I will conclude my report for this evening.
Thank you. We'll go on to board comment. We'll start with Ms. Johnson.
Yes, I've had several opportunities to drive past, the river part.
Perfect.
Thank you. Lord have mercy. River Crest, River Walk, River Bend was not coming. And it's looking really good out there and I appreciate staff's efforts on that part. Spooktacular was great. Judging the costume contest as always was fun. Although of course, traumatizing as well. Which little girl wearing the Frozen costume, you know?
It's lucky my granddaughter wasn't there in hers.
I know. And I just bought tickets for 57, I'm exaggerating. 6 family members to go with my grandson to have the breakfast with Santa. So we're really excited about that. Everybody's excited about breakfast with Santa for the first time. So we're really looking forward to that. Thank you.
Mr. Godinez?
Yes, I'm glad to hear JCC is coming along. I'm excited for our capital improvement plan. Already have a long list of things.
Appreciate it.
Ready to jump into that. Again, thank you to staff, thank you to Rodeo, thank you to Rotary for coming. Thank you guys for working with us and whatever we can do, you know, we're here to help.
Thank you. Mrs. Byrne?
Well, I'm actually speechless, believe it or not. I have so much that I want to say, but thank you. I'm excited for what is in the future. As I said, I'm anxious to see it on another level, but my grandchildren are definitely going to enjoy everything that the board here is going to be doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Leisure?
Yes, Spooktacular was great. I think staff did a really good job of smoothing out some of the rough edges we had the year before, especially where the contest came in. I'd also like to thank the Hooper Valley Community Pro Rodeo for being here and the Rotary Club for being here. Looking forward to those events next year, especially the rodeo. I missed it this last time. One of my favorite things to go to. That's it.
Thank you. Echoing as everyone said as well, Spooktacular went great, especially the judging contest as well. I'm sure it's very memorable for me and some of the children there. And as well, thank you all for the rodeo for coming in and the Rotary as well for the food fest for you. I'm grateful for partnering in your partnership with you all. I'm looking forward to the events coming up this year as well. And again, as well, also thank you to staff for all the work you all, the great work and all the future projects, big projects that are coming up. So and that concludes my comments. Do we have any committee reports to
None this evening, Mr. President.
any future committee meetings? Any agenda items for future board meetings?
Just want to remind the board at our December meeting, is our traditional rotation of officers. So that'll be on the agenda as well as the swearing in of at least one new board member.
Okay. Thank you. Right, so our upcoming meetings on November 28th is canceled, and our next board meeting will be December 12th. So that will adjourn our meeting at 7:23. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
For that, you'll have to turn on airplane.
Okay, guys.